When I was planning my next video, I initially wanted to make one about Otome games with stat rising elements. So to figure out which games had that, I started typing Otome games with stat rising on YouTube because I didn't want to miss anything. I want to do that first. But the first suggestion that popped up in the search bar was Otome games with gameplay. And that really caught my attention. I thought, wait, yeah, there's probably a lot of people searching for Otome games with gameplay, and I realized not many people are really talking about that. Well, stat rising counts as gameplay too, right? So technically, it fits. But the more I thought about it, I figured it would be better to broaden the topic. I mean, who out there is craving gameplay in their Otome games, and who actually searched for that? Is it one of you? Personally, I don't mind playing a pure visual novel where you just pick choices since I love reading, and I usually don't want too much gameplay in my Otome games because I just want to get to the story as soon as possible. And gameplay sometimes slows that down, but not gonna lie, after playing so many Otome games, sometimes I do crave a bit of gameplay too. Although I usually turn to other games for that, because let's be real, some Otome game mechanics can get super repetitive and I can't stand that. Still, people seem to love it, right? And during my research, I was actually surprised at how many Otome games with gameplay exist. Even indie Otome games, some of them look really good, and that kinda changed my perspective, like, maybe gameplay in Otome games isn't so bad after all. Well, depends on the gameplay, of course. But I will share more of that in my next video because it would be too much to fit all of it here. So let me share some of my findings with you. Heart Flop XL, romance meets Nihongo. Before that, if you love visual novel story-rich or Otome games, or if you want to learn Japanese with Otome games and experience some heart-fluffy romance, I suggest you to subscribe to this channel because you are in the right place. When we talk about Otome games with gameplay, of course, one of the most well-known series is Tokimeki Memorial Girlside. The series spans from Season 1 to Season 4, and the gameplay is actually quite fun. You start as a first-year high schooler and begin your high school life balancing academics, building friendships, meeting potential love interests, working part-time jobs, going on dates, and even shopping for clothes. There's so much you can do in this game, and all of it matters. What you do affects events, triggers, CGs, and even the way you dress and your stats influence how much the guys like you. I've played the English patch for Season 1 to 3, and it was honestly really fun, but also a bit overwhelming sometimes. Like, looking at walkthroughs gave me a headache because there's just so much to manage. And I recommend you to just play it blindly if you don't want to become like me. Still, it was a wholesome experience that you won't really find in other games. There are English patches available for Tokimeki Memorial Girlside 1 and 2 on the DS and Season 3 on the PSP. But now all 4 games are available in Japanese on the Switch, so you can check them out if you're curious. Next up is a bit of a hidden gem. I played the English patch of Love Revo back in the day when I was desperate for any playable Otome games in English. Not many people seem to talk about this one. The story follows Hitomi Sakuragawa, who wants a beautiful girl and a child beauty contest winner. But after giving in to junk food thanks to her sister complex big brother, she gained a lot of weight. By the second year of high school, she weighs 100 kilograms. At the start of the school year, she and her brother move into her father's mansion, which also happens to be a dorm. She discovers that the school's most popular guys are also living there, and their reactions to her appearance shock her into deciding to change. The gameplay revolves around dieting and self-management. You need to help her lose weight through exercise, equipment, or slimming products. You also have to manage her stress levels and choose whether to study or go out on dates. It's actually not too hard to meet the requirements, and I remember liking all the guys. They are pretty diverse in terms of personality. The English patch is available for the DS version, and I think The PSP version also exists, if I'm not wrong. Okay, if you love Hogwarts Legacy, then Wand of Fortune is exactly the Otome game you're looking for because, yep, it's filled with magic. You play as Lulu, a girl who enrolls in a magical academy and must pass an exam to graduate and become a full-fledged magician. To succeed, she has to train, grow, and build connections with her fellow students, each of whom has unique powers and personalities. The gameplay revolves around a weekly schedule. Every week, you choose what to do on each of the 7 days. You will train your attributes like intelligence, magic, and other skills while gathering information for your missions. During breaks, you can take time off from studying, explore the school grounds, or chat with friends. Your choice determines who you spend time with and how your relationships develop. But be careful, incorrect combinations may lower affection or even prevent you from unlocking key scenes. From what I've heard, this is one of the most challenging Otome games out there. So if you're up for a real task, I definitely recommend giving it a try. Both the base game and the fan disc are available on the Switch. Let's leave the Magic Academy behind and step into the legends of the Taisho era where 6 brothers and a whole lot of family drama awaits you in Hanaya Kanari Waga Ichisoke. You play as a young woman who becomes the personal maid of the wealthy Miyanomori family. Suddenly caught in the middle of family politics and the battle for inheritance among 6 handsome brothers, you will have to navigate tension, romance, and your daily responsibilities as a maid. Gameplay-wise, you manage a weekly schedule, choosing tasks like cleaning, gardening, event prep, and even side quests from townspeople. Yes, what a diligent and responsible maid we are! Certain tasks raise affection or unlock key events with one of the brothers. You'll also need to meet stat requirements for particular scenes, endings, or even to keep your job in the household. The side quests are technically optional, you can skip them, and honestly, I started doing that after a while because I was too hooked on the story. Still, it gives a realistic sense of what it's like to be a maid, which makes for a pretty unique Otome experience. The base game and fan disc are both available on Switch. Speaking of brothers, we have to talk about one of the most infamous Otome titles out there, Brothers Conflict. Yes, the game where you can date one of your 13 stepbrothers. I know it sounds wild, but don't worry, they're not blood related. You might have seen the anime already, but in the game, you suddenly gain 13 stepbrothers after your father remarries. As you start living with all of them under one roof, emotional bonds begin to form, and some of those bonds might evolve into love. The gameplay involves weekly scheduling, and it's not as straightforward as you might think. Every guy has different criteria for unlocking their events. Some require high family interactions, others requires minimal interaction, and some depend on doing their favorite activities. So it's up to you to figure it all out, especially if you're playing blind. It's surprisingly strategic for a drama-filled game about living with a dozen potential love interests. But too much romance might actually be dangerous. I mean, just as the main character of Glass Heart Princess. With a rare and fragile heart condition, the only cure is, falling in love carefully. You play as Kyoko, a rich and kind-hearted girl who's suddenly diagnosed with glass heart syndrome, a condition where if her heart rate rises too high, she could literally die. And the only treatment, she has to train her heart by experiencing exciting heart-pounding situations through dating. Sounds wild, right? And I played this game completely blind, and honestly, it was really fun. At first, I thought it was easy until I started dying a couple of times, especially in Kanata's route, no joke. And in this game, you have to train your heart, increase your heart rate through exercise, study up on love knowledge, and make the right choices during events. All of it matters because if you fail, you will suffer from a heart attack and it's game over. So yes, this game actually gives you strategy training in the most ridiculous but charming way possible. Let's carry that strategic mindset into Real Road, a game that literally throws you into your favorite RPG world. You play as Nina, a high school student and full-blown otaku who's obsessed with video games. One day, while playing in her room, she's suddenly pulled into the game itself. When she wakes up, she finds herself living inside the RPG story she knows so well. But there's a twist, she's not a heroine. And it's up to you to help her navigate battles, uncover secrets, and make some tough decisions. Will she choose to stay in the fantasy or return to reality? Gameplay-wise, you'll be exploring maps, collecting items like herbs and equipment, and battling random monsters in turn-based RPG combat. When you reach a town, you will train with one of the love interests to raise your own stats, which are necessary to unlock certain routes. State management is super important here. Nina needs to meet specific requirements to romance the ally of your choice. You can even choose to start the game on either the White Knight or Black Knight pad. I didn't know at first that there were Otome games like this with RPG mechanics, which is honestly so rare. So if you have access to the platform, this is definitely one to check out. From sword fights to chaotic teen love, Stormlover Kai is one of the most dynamic high school Otome games I've played, and honestly, it holds a soft spot in my heart. In this game, you get to know the boys and actually date them like a real-life relationship, with cute, silly, and even dramatic moments, yes, including some real baka couple energy. The gameplay here isn't super difficult, it's actually pretty chill. You do need to raise your stats, but it's way easier than something like Tokimeki. What really stood out to me was how you could text or call your boyfriend on the weekend or even after dates. It was just so cute and personal. You can also choose your school path to meet your chosen ally, walk to school together, take part-time jobs, shop for gifts, and even give them clothes or accessories they will actually wear on dates. And it's not just a straightforward love story. You can break up, reconcile, and even enter rival mode, where someone tries to steal your man. How you respond is up to you. Fight back, let them take him, or steal him back later. Back then, I actually preferred this over Tokimeki because it felt way less stressful to play. So if you want something that captures a similar feel but with lighter gameplay, Stormlover Kai might be right up your alley. And there's an English patch available for the PSP but only for the base game. And if you enjoy high school dates in this game, wait until you see what happens when you have to hide your identity while chasing your dream because Jack-chan take things to a whole new level. I've heard so many good things about this game, and since it also features a ton of gameplay, of course I had to include it. In Jack-chan, you play as Kisa, a girl invited to an elite all-boys performing art schools, under one condition. She must hide the fact that she's a girl and earn the lead role in the school's biggest play. Can she balance singing, dancing, acting, and love? In terms of gameplay, you'll raise your stats in dancing, singing, and acting through scheduled classes. You'll also perform in plays via rhythm game segments and choose routes while trying to maintain high performance and keep your identity a secret. If you love music, rhythm games, and theatrical drama, this is the one you definitely don't want to miss. If school feels too small for you, how about managing entire planets? We can talk about Otome games with gameplay without mentioning the one that started it all, the Angelique series. We seriously owe the creators of this game so much because without Angelique, the Otome genre might not even exist today. In Angelique Luminaries, you're suddenly chosen as a queen candidate and transported into a cosmic realm. Your job is to develop islands or planets while getting closer to the Guardians, who will either support you or challenge you. You will raise your island level to win and become queen, while also managing your time between queen duties and chasing your favorite love interest. There are even time choices where a character might quiz you during a date. From what I've heard, the plot isn't the game's strongest point, so if you're looking for a rich story, you might want to manage your expectations, but if you're in it for cute romance and classic legacy vibes, there's still a lot to love here. From outer space, we're gonna move on to Orchestra Hall's Kin-Iro no Korda. There's a Kin-Iro no Korda game on the Switch, but the series actually started on PSP. The story begins when the main character is suddenly granted a magical violin. From there, you'll compete in musical performance while balancing school life, practice, and heart-pounding encounters with fellow musicians. Gameplay-wise, you'll practice your instrument to raise music stats, participate in concerts and competitions, and make dialogue choices during practice and performance that influence affection and story progression. For example, you're encouraged to choose a song that matches the current theme. If your song choice doesn't fit, you're likely to get poor performance scores. This game actually caught my attention, and I feel like it will be really interesting to play someday. We'll see. And if classical romance isn't your thing, Reign de Fleur brings us into a more mythological fantasy world. Okay, that is quite challenging to pronounce. Reign de Fleur is also on my wishlist because honestly, I was captivated by the fantasy world building, the tragic romance, and the knights. Especially after reading the staff blog, I could really feel the love and effort the writers put into creating this story. While it's often labeled as one of the worst Otome games out there, I honestly think it depends on your taste. In here you play as Violet, the goddess of nature, whose powers are fading. You must choose one of 4 guardians to support you, and through your decisions determine the fate of the kingdom and your heart. But it's not easy. To gain the Knight's trust, Violet has to gather information and take action. And that's where the infamous rapper minigame comes in. Yes, the one a lot of people hate. After collecting info from different characters, you'll make choices or let the timer run out that affect your HP gauge or your opponent's HP. Then you'll face a final time button combo you have to hit correctly or fail. What you choose and how well you do in these mini-games determines everything route-wise. I'm still not sure how I will feel about the gameplay itself, but again, reading the staff blog made me really interested, so of course I'm still getting it. I actually recommend reading the staff blog too. It will help you to decide if this game is for you or not. If you're looking for something more grounded but still packed with drama, Tenkai ni Mao takes us back to Taisho era Japan and is actually set in the same universe in the future as one of Otome's most beloved titles. Yes, Hanaya Kanari, the one we just talked about. In this game, you play as Ritsu, a hardworking girl who helps out daily at her parents' traditional Japanese inn in the countryside. She's open about wanting to inherit the business one day, but her parents just laugh it off, saying there's no way a girl could manage it. Okay, it's not that surprising because it's Taisho era. And then one day, Ritsu received a sudden marriage proposal from Kosuke Yajima, the owner of Yajima. Their fathers are old friends and everyone is thrilled about the arrangement, except Ritsu. But this unexpected engagement becomes the catalyst for a huge change in her destiny. Now, compared to other games on this list, Tenkai ni Mao has optional gameplay, so it's totally up to you whether you want to engage with it or just enjoy the story. There are 3 types of minigames you can play: stargazing at night in the garden, cooking for your man, and cleaning the hall. Clearing these minigames raise your level and unlock special voice clips and other rewards. Since it shares a universe with Hanaya Kanari, you can also visit familiar areas and see how the love interests from that game have grown over time. This one's definitely on the lighter gameplay side, so if you just want some simple, cozy minigames, this might be a good choice to relax with. Okay, if you're feeling overwhelmed with all the intense games I've been mentioning, let's take a breather and dive into a sparkly world where you get to be a princess. Let's throw it back to one of the earliest Otome games that had an official English translation, Princess debuted. You play as Sabrina, a girl who steps through a magical portal and finds herself in a fantasy world where she is suddenly a princess. Your goal? Master your dance moves and woo one of 6 charming princes before the big ball. This game is part reading game, part adventure, and you have 30 days to prepare for the ball. You will meet the prince, build relationships through branching events, and once you've convinced one to be your dancing partner, it's time to hit the dance floor. You will use the DS touchscreen to guide your character through various dances, matching your partner's rhythm. And I still remember how clumsy I was with the dancing segments. Definitely not smooth at all. But looking back, this game gives me such strong nostalgic vibes. If you're into rhythm games and fairy tale settings, this one has a fun and light-hearted classic to try. Next up is the series that just celebrated its anniversary recently, Harukanaru Toki no Nakade. The series began on PSP and the 6 and 7 titles are also available on the Switch. In this series, you're summoned to another world where you will form a party with 8 male guardians, battle demons, and choose both of your fate and your romance. The Haruka series blends Otome romance with JRPG-style gameplay, especially in the earlier titles. Here's what you can expect. A turn-based battle system where you fight alongside your guardians, time and resource management. You'll need to decide how to spend your time, whether to explore, rest, deepen relationships, or trigger events. Some characters and scenes only appear during certain times or paces, so planning matters. And you will explore maps, travel between locations, trigger battles, and encounter character-specific events. So, if you enjoy RPG mechanics in your Otome games, especially ones with combat and time-based strategy, Harukanaru series deserves a spot on your list. And finally, let's end with something intimate and quietly emotional. In Toraware no Palma, you're not exploring a battlefield. You're building a trust with mysterious man who feels so close yet so distant. You have been brought to a solitary island to serve as a counselor for a young man with amnesia. He's being detained after a certain incident and now it's your job to help him recover his memories. At first, he's closed off, avoiding eye contact, hiding under his hood, keeping his distance, but slowly, through video calls and real-time messages, he begins to open up even if it's just a little. He can't remember much about his past, but he does want to know more about himself and maybe, just maybe, more about you, and why he feels he can't see your heart. As the story unfolds, you will start to question whether there's something deeper going on. With Haruto and with this isolated island that you're both trapped on, oh, and yes, you can leave this island until he regains his memories. And gameplay-wise, this is more of an interactive experience where you connect with the love interest through emotional cues, video chats, and messages in real time. If you're into immersive, narrative-driven gameplay that pulls you in emotionally, this is one to check out, especially since it goes on sale quite often. And there you have it, 16 Otome games with gameplay that you can play right now. Which one caught your attention and why? Tell me down below in the comments. And in my next video, I'll be sharing indie Otome games with gameplay that brings something fresh and exciting to the table. If you like romance and gameplay in your games, you might want to check this video here because it might hook you as well. Stay tuned and see you in my next video. Bye bye!